everybody's working on the name tags. I don't have very good eyes, and I have a hard time pronouncing your names too. So I hope I don't say anybody's names very incorrectly. So once you get your name tag on, then please join the cahoots here. And I have confidence in the back row for a victory today. Sorry you're so far back. Can you see okay? Okay. Yeah, you got good eyes. So, everybody have a good evening yesterday? Good evening? Had some sleep? Ready for a new day? Yeah? Okay. Vomit? Okay, almost ready. Getting better. Time's getting right. Okay. If you're still trying to log in, maybe just write the number down and we're going to start. Okay. Nice. Here we go. So this is a review of sort of everything from yesterday. Okay. There's 20 questions. So it's a little bit long, but I think we're going to do well. We'll see what happens. Start with an easy one here. So if everybody votes, even before the time is out, it'll go. Everybody vote. One more. Okay. Good. So yeah, so like we talked about yesterday, water accounting is really built on the idea of the water balance. That's the fundamental principle that we're applying here. Some collaboration maybe happening here between people. Okay. I'm very happy that I got one vote for this one here. Time has a convex collinearity with displacement theory. That means nothing. I just made that up this morning. It sounds intelligent. But yes, the conservation of mass, right? We have it right over here. It states that inflow has to equal outflow plus the changes in storage. Okay? So that is the fundamental kind of mathematical principle that the water balance is based on. Okay? Oh, I love his answers just pouring in so quickly. Wow, the 20 28, right? Great. Everybody take a guess? 30. Wow, it's the record, I think. Okay, excellent. That's very encouraging. So, right, domain. That's the first step we need to do. We need to talk about the domain. I'm going to stop talking because if I keep talking, I'm going to give away the next answer. So, So what's the answer here? What's the answer? Space and time, right? Okay, tricky. So this one is only space, right? Yeah? And even this one about space is wrong, right? This is not right. Even if it was just about space, it's not right. The next question will ask about that. But it's space and time, right? Sorry. Now remember, water is important, but it's not the answer to everything. Okay? Okay. So water is important, but it's not the answer to everything. So right, we usually think about the spatial domain kind of in two dimensions, like a field or a basin, right? But don't forget, you need to clearly define, do you include the root zone? Do you include groundwater? How far down do you like to go with your domain, okay? So that's really important. MPT and believe here. Oh, wow. Sorry. This question makes no sense, actually. This should say, I'll show you, this should say conceptual. Sorry. It should say, once the domain is specified, a conceptual water balance diagram. I really apologize for that. A blank? True? What? That was just to make sure everybody was awake. Yeah, I did that on purpose. Yeah, so this is, once a domain is specified, the first thing you should do, or so the next step, once you define the spatial and temporal domain, you should make just like a sketch on a piece of paper of like the conceptual water balance, right? How does water come in, out, how does it change in storage? Okay? You guys are all quite serious about this. I like this. Very focused. Everybody's competitive. What's the answer here? A flux is when water. Okay? So is this a flux? The changes in storage? Change in storage is something happening inside our domain, right? A flux, by definition, is something that happens across our domain boundary, right? So it flows in or out of the domain. That's a flux, okay? Can anybody name some examples? Actually, I think my next question has to do with that. Never mind. So if you think about these fluxes and changes in storage, are they easy to observe, like our bank accounts, or are they hard to observe? Okay. Nice. Now, who are these books here? who has tried to measure evaporation before? So someone tell me if it's easy. Or precipitation in a mountain range, right? Maybe off to the west. It's very difficult. All these things are really hard to measure. It's not like money, right? If I get out my 100, my 200, and 500, okay, 800, shit, I give you. Yeah, that's easy to measure, but this is very, very difficult to measure, right? what Pushpa shared about. It's a bit of a hard question here. Okay, just lost out here. Now, can we think about this in terms of the water accounting terms we've been using, right? So, in terms of, this is called river basin development, right? So what river basin development means is when you have a lot of outflows that are currently not committed, right? That's when you have an undeveloped river basin, right? So and as you develop the river basin, that amount of unutilized outflows, kind of the available water, starts to be used. And first it starts with infrastructure, right? Just developing things. And then we really start thinking about sort of how do we use these resources best, and conservation comes in this utilization period. And then finally, when we start to realize that we're using all the water we have, we start thinking about allocation, okay? So, does anybody have any questions about this? There was some discussion, I think, maybe, yeah. Any questions or debates about this one? I might get these wrong, so you have to be, maybe I'll purposefully make a wrong answer one time, so you can make sure you pay attention. So this is that paper we read, the Holden paper. Did you find that useful or not? Okay. Curious to see how this goes. Wow. Okay. Cool. So this is encouraging to me, and I hope this is honest feedback, because again, these papers are available to you as a tool for you to learn on your own. So if you find it helpful, just try to find 15 or 20 minutes each day to set some time aside to read something new, right? Learn something new from the literature, right? There's a grammar mistake. All right. So this word should not be there. There's a little grammar mistake, but remember over here. We'll talk about this more, but to get net inflow right, you have to take gross inflow and subtract off the change in storage, right? So if the change in storage is 0, then net inflow equals gross inflow, right? So I think most people got that, but then we got this. It's interesting. What were people thinking with this vote? Is there maybe some confusion about this, or just wondering why you thought maybe it was less than? If someone's brave that voted for that one, I'm curious to know why. Maybe no one will be brave though. Yeah. Okay. Do you think we need to?
Yeah, I think maybe because it's like half of them
Really had a wrong answer.
Yeah. more than half, you see.
Yeah.
လူသားလေးကိုနည်းနည်းကိုပြန်ပြီးတော့ပြန်ရှင်းနေနေတာပြန်ပြီးတော့
ရှင်းပြီးတော့
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ဟိုနည်းကြအခုဒီအခုအရင်ကျွန်တော်ပြခဲ့တဲ့ဥစ္စာတွေပြောပြတာလေဟို net flow နဲ့ဟို gross flow နဲ့ဥစ္စာပြန်စဉ်းစားကြည့်ရအောင်ဟုတ်ကဲ့
Next slide.
ဟေးဟုတ်ကဲ့ ဒီတစ်ခေါက်ပြန်ရင်တော့ဟို equation ပြန်ထုတ်ပြအောင်
And
အဲ့တော့ဆရာဟိုအစရပြောခဲ့စဉ်းစားကြည့်အောင်အဝင်ပေါ့နော်အဝင်ကြည့်အောင်ဒီတနေရာတစ်ခုရှိတယ်။ဒီတစ်ခုကျွန်တော်ဒိုမိန်သတ်မှတ်တာပြီးသားဖြစ်တဲ့ဥစ္စာတွေကိုအဝင်ရှိတယ်။အဝင်ကဘယ်လောက်ရှိမလဲဆိုတော့အဝင်ကကျွန်တော်တရားလုံးလုံးဝင်တာ။အဲ့တော့ပြန်ဖတ်သွားတာတရားလုံးလုံးပြန်ဖတ်တာ။ဟိုခက်ဖို့ကြောင်းမရှိဘူးလို့လေ။ဟိုတနေရာထဲမှာ storage အနေနဲ့ဝင်သွားပြီ။ဒီကြောက်တဲ့စိတ်သားအဖြစ်ပဲဒီထဲမှာသူ့လူစုံထဲမှာပြင်ပြင်ကိုအောင်းရင်အောင်းဝင်မယ်။တော့အဲ့ဒါရှိတဲ့ကြောင်းလို့ဒီဘလိုပဲတက်တက်ဒီအဝင်ဒီအထွက်နဲ့ storage ရဲ့အပြောင်းအလဲနဲ့နှစ်ခုပေါင်းတာတူတာတူတယ်။အဲ့ဒီဝင်နေတဲ့ဥစ္စာမှာကျွန်တော် gross ဆိုတာတော့အကျန်းနဲ့ဝင်တာအကုန်လုံးဟာအကုန်လုံးကိုတွက်ကြည့်လိုက်တဲ့ဥစ္စာမှာကြားမှာလား gross ဒါပေမဲ့တကယ်တမ်းဒီ net ကိုတကယ်တမ်းကြည့်တဲ့ဥစ္စာမှာကြားမှာအဲ့ဒီတကယ်တမ်း net ကအပြောင်းလဲဘယ်လောက်ရှိတယ်လဲဆို sorry storage အပြောင်းလဲရှိတဲ့ပုံကိုတည်ပြီးတော့ net ကိုပြတ်တယ်။ storage ကတကယ်လို့လုံးဝမပြောင်းလဲဘူးဆိုတော့ဆိုရင်မပြောင်းလဲဘူးအဲ့ဒါဘယ်လိုထောက်တာဝင်တဲ့အတိုင်းပဲပြန်ပြီးတော့ပြန်ရှိသွားတယ်ဟုတ်တယ်အားကြောင့်မလို့တကယ်အခုဒီမှာတွေ့တဲ့ဥစ္စာကဒီကညီသလားဝင်သလားများသလားနဲတော့ဒီလိုဖြစ်သွားစတိုရိတ်ကပြောင်းနေတော့ဒါမှမဟုတ်ဒီမှာတွေကဝင်တဲ့အထက်ကနေပြီးတော့0ကိုပဲထွက်တယ်အားဖြစ်သွားတယ်ဒီဘက်ကတော့ချိမိလိုက်ပြောပါဟုတ်ပြီနော်โอเค
Long day. Go on, man. Okay. So WA stands for water accounting. Maybe if you got excited, you could maybe sell one of them with me. Yeah, okay. So sometimes with these, all of the above, I see, oh yeah, evaporation pressure. Yeah, you can click it and then you go, oh no, it's that one too, and it's that one. Oh, it's this. Okay, so make sure to read all the answers before you vote. So in water accounting, depletion includes these 4 things. So I grouped these 2 together so we have all 4 now, right? So it's evapotranspiration, flows to a sink or pollution, and incorporation into a product, right? So those are examples of depletion, right? And again, depletion are the arrows that go up. It means the water is sort of no longer available, right? It's not an outflow, it's a depletion, it's gone. Out of these 4 things, which one is usually the biggest? You guys have a guess?
Yeah, another thing. You need to do No, unlikely.
No.
Okay, let me come. Evapotranspiration အများဆုံးထင်တယ်လူ Okay, evapotranspiration အများဆုံးပါဆရာ Okay. ဒီဟိုအနေနဲ့ sink လို့ pollution လို့များတယ်ဆိုရင်ထင်တယ်လူလား ဟုတ် Okay, ဒါပေါ့ဗျာ။တော့ incorporation များတယ်ဆိုရင်ထင်တယ်လို့ကျန်တဲ့လူတွေပေါ့နော်။ဟုတ်။ဟာတချို့လူတွေပါအောင်။အခုမှမဟုတ်ဘူးလေ။ That's an issue. So some of them think that none of them are the largest amount. There might be something else.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
Hello, Jerry.
Now in Myanmar,
Yeah.
I think that this one might be the biggest because of all the flow to the ocean, right? So in most places, this is the biggest. Yeah. So like in Pakistan, for instance, or California. It depends on the time of year, but definitely in the non-monsoon, in the dry period, this number is typically the biggest. Now in the monsoon, especially here, for sure, this is the biggest one. Yeah. Maybe but if we looked at the central dry zone, right? Just the central dry zone was our domain. Okay, so if that was our domain, the flow out of the central dry zone, does it go into the ocean immediately? Yes or no?
6ပြည့်စုံဆိုရင်ဟိုဟာတွေကလည်းစီးထွက်လာတဲ့ဥစ္စာပင်လယ်ထဲအထိတက်ရောက်သွား
No, because it just continues in the Ayeyarwady, right? Okay, so in that case, what would be the largest depletion if our domain was the central dry zone, just the central dry zone? Absolutely, right? Absolutely, this would be the largest depletion, right? And also outflow could be significant, right? Maybe there's large portions of utilizable and non-utilizable outflow, right? Okay, good. I think I asked this one yesterday. Oh my goodness. I have to take a picture of this. There we go. Get some people in the back. Okay, got it. All right. So there's still some confusion about this, I think,
Yes,
right?
I mean, especially about this committed.
This idea of committed, yeah.
I thought we had to go over
Yeah.
this.
Maybe the central dry zone is a nice example of this, okay? So let's think about that. Let's say the central dry zone, right, made an agreement with the Ayeyawadi Delta, yeah? So there's like the delta down there in the south, and maybe what state is that?
Where? In the Delta?
Yeah, in the Delta.
It's called ARV state.
There you go.
ARV division.
So Ayeyawadi makes a contract with the central dry zone. There's like 2 or 3 states, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And they say, okay, central dry zone, you have to give us, a minimum flow of 1,000, no, let's say 2,000 cubic meters per second. For flow, this is another question about units. Do you think about flow in terms of cubic feet per second or cubic meters per second? Okay, you guys are so confusing. So you measure land in acres and distances of feet, and then you use cubic meters per second. Okay, that's all right. So anyways, so let's say that there's this agreement, right, between the AOI state and the central dry zone. You must send us 2,000 cubic meters per second of water, right? Can that water, that 2,000 cubic meters per second, right, that you have to send down, can you use it to irrigate land and deplete that water? So this is the question here. The committed water, the 2,000 cubic meters, can you divert that and use it for irrigation and deplete some of that water and then only send 1,500? Is that okay? Do you think AOI is happy with that? Can you explain that?
ကျွန်တော်တို့ဟိုအနေနဲ့ဒီအလဲပိုင်းဒေတာနဲ့တွေ့ကြည့်အောင်ဒါပေမဲ့အခုအလဲပိုင်းဒေတာပြောတယ်ဆိုလို့ဥစ္စာမှာတစ်ခုကြိုပြီးတော့ခဏခါတာကိုတော့ထက်မပြောပါဘူးကျွန်တော်တို့က AR မြစ်ကိုအလဲပိုင်းဒေတာကဟိုပိတ်ထားမရတဲ့သဘောလောက်ကိုစဉ်းစားလိုက်ရဟုတ်ပြီနော် AR မြစ်ကြီးကိုအလဲပိုင်းဒေတာဆိုတာဟိုတန်ကြီးခံထားလိုက်ပြီးတော့ကဲသူကနေပြန်ထွက်လာမယ်အဲ့ဒီသူဒေတာဒီဟို new one data base နဲ့ပြန်ထွက်လာမယ် outflow ကိုစဉ်းစားကြည့်ပြန်ထွက်လာမှာ outflow နော်သူကမှာဆက်ထွက်သွားမှာထွက်မဲ့ဥစ္စာမှာအောက်ကဒီ ARD ညောကျိုးပေါ်ဒေတာမှာသူတို့ဟိုတခြားသောအသုံးတွေတော့ရေးလို့မဲ့ဥစ္စာတွေအစတည်းဟိုကARD ဒီမှာစီးနေတဲ့ဥစ္စာက100%ရှိတဲ့အတွက်မှာသူ20%တော့အနည်းဆုံးပေးရမယ်ဆိုပြီးတော့ဒီဟိုသတ်မှတ်ထားပြီးတာရှိတယ်အခုကိုတိုင်းပြည်တွေမှာသတ်မှတ်တာတော့အတင်းဖြစ်မယ်တခါကျရင်မြေတစ်ခုကိုနိုင်ငံ3 4ခုဆက်တဲ့အခါကျတော့သူတွေးကြည့်တော့အဲ့ဒါပို့ပြီးတော့ရှုပ်ထွေးပြီနော်အဲ့လိုဖြစ်တဲ့အခါကျရင်ဟုတ်ပြီ20%တော့အဖြစ်မနေပေးရမယ်ဆိုတဲ့ဥစ္စာပါသူကမပေးဘူးကွာဒီ20%ကိုအဲ့ဒီသူဒီမှာသဘောတွေလေတွေကဟောဒီလိုမိုးနေသွားလို့ဆိုပြီးတော့ရေပေးဖို့ရေပေးဆိုင်ဖို့အတွက်ပဲငါတို့ပဲယူမယ်ဆိုပြီးတော့အဲ့လိုလုပ်လို့ရမှာမရတော့ဟုတ်တော့အစတည်းက committed ပြီးဟိုပေးလာပြီးတော့တကယ်ပြောလို့ဆိုလူခတိပေးလာပြီးသားတော့အောက်ကလူတွေသုံးဖို့အတွက်ဒီကတော့အောက်ကဆိုလို့နော်ကျွန်တော်ဒီရေးစီးရတော့ဒီလေရေးညာမှုပဲနဲ့ရေသုံးပိုင်းကအောက်ပိုင်းကလူတွေအတွက်ကိုဘလောက်ရာခိုင်နှုန်းဘလောက်ပမာဏပေးရမယ်ဆိုပြီးတော့သတ်မှတ်ထားပြီးသားရှိရကြောင်းအဲ့ဒီဥစ္စာကိုကိုယ့်အစီအမံအတွက်ကိုပြန်သုံးလို့ရတယ်မရသင့်တော့ဘူးเนาะအဲ့ဒီရသွားပြီဆိုရင်အဲ့ချိန်တွေခက်ခဲတော့မှတမျိုးပေါ့အားကြောင့်လို့ဖြစ်သွားတယ်ကျွန်တော်အခုဟိုအားလုံးအခုလို့ဒီတော့ပဲရှိတဲ့အားလုံးတရားရမယ်လို့ပြန်တွေ့ကြည့်လိုက်တယ် ပြန်ရဖို့လည်းမှာပါဟာလာအောက်ကိုစီးကြသွားတယ်ကိုဒီလေးဝင်သွားတဲ့အားရှိတယ်အခုပြန်လာရှိတယ်ပြန်ထွက်တဲ့အထင်းပါပါကျွန်တော်ဖတ်ပြပါလိမ့်မယ်အခုလောက်ခွဲတော့သွားပြီလားဘယ်လိုခွဲချက်ပါလဲဒီ committed နဲ့ uncommitted တကယ်တမ်းပေးခြင်းမယ်ဆိုရင်ဘယ်တွေကပေးရလဲကျွန်တော်တို့အပူသုံးပြအိမ်ထဲမှာအဆောင်အပူလေးကြံသေးတယ် uncommitted တွေကတော့ပေးလို့မရတယ်ဒါတစ်ခါရဲဆက်ပြီးတော့နောက်ဆက်မှတစ်ခါရဲရှင်းသွားအောင်ရပြီနော်အဲ့ဆိုရင်အခုဆိုရင် committed ဘလို့อ่ะဘုံမင်းကပါရှိအောင်လားရှိတော့အခုဒီဟာဘုံမင်းရအောက်လို့ရ committed ဆိုတော့ပြောရโอเคနော်ဟုတ်
I was just gonna get this picture up there. This is what you.
မသိဘူးဟုတ်အခုဒီလိုပဲဒီမှာလည်းအခုဒီမှာလေဒီမှာရှိရတဲ့ဟာဒီမှာအခုကိုယ့်အကိုတုံးပလိုက်တဲ့ခါတွေရှိတာအဲ့ဒါတုံးပလိုက်တဲ့ဥစ္စာတွေမှာအခုဘာပြောလဲအောက်ဖလိုတဲ့မှာအခုဒီမှာဒီတစ်ဝက်လောက်ဒီပဲထားပါတော့ committed ကဟိုအလုပ်လေးရလေးတယ်တခြားတူသုံးလို့ရတယ်အဲ့မှာဒီ committed ကတော့မလုပ်ရတော့ဘူးပေးလို့ပေးတယ်လို့အဲ့မှာပါဒီ uncommitted ထဲမှာပါလေဒီအကုန်လုံးတော့သုံးလို့ရပြီမရမယ်တစ်ဝက်လောက်ဒီပဲသုံးလို့ရတယ်နော်ဒီမှာလေအားကြောင့်ဒီမှာက committed တွေဘယ်မှာသွားလဲအောက်လို့ရဲ့အပိုင်းဟိုလည်းပါဟုတ်ဒီနည်းတွေရတယ်ဟုတ်โอเคရကြတယ်
And I think this is the key here, is that available does not include committed water, right? So that's the key. So very good. Thank you for explaining that. Okay. Back to this one. Okay. Just a few more questions. You guys are doing great. This one tests if you really know it now. Okay, good. So we're better than now we're 2/3, 1/3 instead of half and half. So we're moving in the right direction. Okay. So if I go back to this picture here, right? Now we're talking about this amount, right? Uncommitted outflow. And that by definition is available, right? Because it's part of this. Committed outflow is not available for use of the command, okay? Okay? With a big smile from the front here. Okay, good? This also gets into what we were just talking about. We're hoping for a high score. Come on. Oh no!
Hold on. ခဏလေးဆိုတော့ပြန်ရှုပ်သွားတယ်။ဒီအဲ့ဒီပြီးတော့အလုပ်လိုက်။ဒါကတော့အောက်သွားတာဒါပေမဲ့အဲ့ဒီကမှ available ဥစ္စာကိုပြန်ကြည့်။
So what is available water here? It's the net inflow is this whole thing, right? So it's the net inflow minus committed water, right? So it doesn't have anything to do with changes in storage or anything. That, like you just said, that has to do with the difference between net and gross, right? But available water is the whole thing minus what's committed, right? So let's look at that question again. So available water is net inflow, the whole thing, minus committed outflow. That gives you what's available.
Yeah, that's why they were trying to take these changes in storage.
Yeah.
They haven't looked at it.
This one.
Yeah, because that's why I thought it was
okay.
outflow.
Okay. All right. Is this clear now, though? This is Okay? I don't think they did their homework.
No, maybe.
I'm just kidding.
No. I think we have to do more with the definitions.
In
again.
terms, exactly,
The
yeah.
terms again.
That's kind of what we're doing with this review, is
Yeah.
really.
Especially, I don't know if we have to legal sequence.
Yeah, no, there's
Yeah.
definitely, we need to spend more time on this.
What time? Because this,
There's a lot of new terms.
yeah, I mean, especially our, that way the top one.
Yeah.
So we have to go over this again.
Exactly, yeah.
Maybe like drawing out here, like one to one.
We're gonna one step at a time, yeah. I have a slide that fills it like that, so
Yeah,
maybe we can go through that.
Yeah.
Maybe let's
Yeah,
finish
let's finish
this,
this.
and then I think it's good to have who's put all that in.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back to this. We'll let it kind of sit.
Yeah.
In the mind for a little bit. But you guys are doing great. So I'm not like sad about this. This is hard. This is new. It's fine. There's no troubles. By the end of 5 days, we're gonna get this though. Okay. So we remain optimistic. Okay. This is maybe I think a little bit easier. I think. Yes. Excellent. Right, so depleted water is that chunk up here, right? And really what we want to do is maximize the beneficial depletion, right? Because those are the things that we get some benefit out of, right? It's like growing a crop, producing some power, those sorts of things. Okay. Non-beneficial depletion. Okay. Is this a word that people are familiar with? Weeds?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Farming. We have to, no?
But are weeds something that you want or you don't want? You don't want, right? So is this beneficial or non-beneficial? Okay. Is a forest something you want or you don't want? Typically you want the forest. There's all sorts of benefits from the forest, right? Do you want or not want rice? Yeah? Do you want or not want pulses? Yeah. So what's the one thing in this list that's non-beneficial? What's the one thing in the list that's non-beneficial?
လုံးမရှိတာတကယ်တမ်းဒီကအပင်လေးမျိုးလေးပေါ့တော့ပေါင်းမယ်ပဲဖြစ်တော့အခုရအပင်အောင်ကပြန်ပါပြီပဲတော့အပင်ရှိတယ်တော့ပင်ပြီးအဝတ်ကိုပြန်တော့ပါအဲဒီဝိတ်ရွက်ပြန်တဲ့ဥစ္စာပါကျန်တာအားလုံးကတိုင်းတာပဲသူဒီလို့ရှိဟိုဘောအမှုဒီပါတော့ဒါပေမဲ့ဟိုအဲဒီလေးပေါ်ရောတော့ဘယ်လိုမှမရှိဘူးပေါ့နော်ဟိုအားလုံးပြသွားတော့ကျွန်တော်
This is I think maybe there's some this is like maybe a little bit debatable in terms of yeah. I mean,
even though they might stay right, they
well, yeah. There's trade-offs, but I mean typically these days we think of forest as something that's beneficial.
Yes.
Yeah. So after this Kahoot quiz, are you giving up? I quit. Somebody doesn't want to answer. Okay. All right. Okay. Good. And last question. I think I will answer this for you, maybe. So for these 13 people, can you help us know what your questions are right now? Maybe if you can tell. Before we have questions from you, I have one question for you. One last question. It's is this type of review something that's helpful to do for the previous day? Is it helpful, or is it like too much review?
အခုဒီလိုလေးပြန်ပြီးတော့လေဒီနေ့ကသင်ခန်းစာပြန်တွေးရဥစ္စာလေးပါဒါအသုံးချသင်ခန်းမှာလုပ်တဲ့ပုံစံလေး
It's good? Yeah? Everybody?
Yes.
It's good? Okay. Okay. Hamde. Hey, Hamde? Okay. Okay, so then maybe the like specific topics.
ဟိုအနေနဲ့ဟိုမိဘလေးတွေကြံနေတယ်လူသုံးယောက်ဖြေရတယ်ပေါ့နော်ပြောပြမှာလို့သုံးယောက်အဲ့ဒါကိုမဖြစ်နိုင်ပြန်တယောက်ချင်းဒီမေးနေတယ်ဆိုတော့ဥစ္စာလေးချင်းဟိုလိုလေးပြောရမှာပြောပါတော့အားရပြောချက်စရာလေးတောက်ပြရတယ်
There should be 13 questions right now. Okay? So
ဒီလိုသုံးခုဖြစ်တယ်လည်းဖြစ်ပဲဒီတစ်ခုတည်းလည်းပဲဟိုထပ်နေတာရှင်းပြပါအောင်နော်အားလုံးပြောပါဦးလက်ထောက်ပြောတာပြောအဲ့ဥစ္စာကျွန်တော်တို့ကလောက်တာပါဘူးမှတ်ထားဥစ္စာမှာဟိုအဓိကဖြည့်ရှင်းရမှာကိုရှင်းပြရအောင်
You can also send me an email. You can send us an email. We can do some anonymous thing, but
အများကြီးပါဘာလို့ဒီလိုဆိုလည်းပဲအမှ
actually send it to us all.
ဒီလိုရပါတယ်ကြာဒါမှလည်းကျွန်တော်တို့ဟောဒီနေ့ဟာဒီနေ့တော့ဒီနေ့ကတည်းကဟိုဒီလိုဆိုပြီးတော့မှဒီကဟိုဒီနေ့ဒီနေ့ကိုရှောင်းတယ်ဒီတော့ပုံစံတော့နားလေဒီကိုလည်းမြင်ရပါတယ်
အဓိကဘယ်အကြောင်းအရာ
ဒါမှလည်းကျွန်တော်တို့ဟောဒီအခုမမေးရဘူးဆိုရင်စာရွက်နဲ့ရေးပြီးတော့မှသူ့ကိုမြင်ပြရပါတယ်
အဲ့လိုလုပ်
ဒီ
လား
ဟိုဖြစ်နေတယ်ပေါ့နော်
ဆိုင်ရပိုင်းလေးမှာပဲအဓိကရေးဘာလို့ရေးရလဲဆိုရင်ရေးပြီးတော့ဟို
ဒါမှလည်းဟိုဒီနေ့မနေ့တော့
ဟုတ်
ပြပြတော့
ကျွန်တော်ဟိုအလုပ်လာလို့တက်လို့ဒီလိုလုပ်လာတယ်အဲ့မှာလက်ထည့်ခိုင်းတာလေ
And remember the way that we think of questions, right? As trainers, we think of questions as good things. So we never be ashamed of questions, right? The only thing that's a shame with a question is if you don't ask it, right? Otherwise, questions are good things. So we really value that.
နော်ဘေးကြအဲ့တော့ဟိုဘယ်လိုဒီဆက်တော့ဟုတ်
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
So, can you elaborate a little about water depletion caused by floating cells?
So a depletion from a flow to a sink.
Elaborate a little.
Very good. Yeah, very excellent question. It's my understanding that there are some saline groundwater areas in Myanmar. Can maybe some of the hydrogeologists help me on this? Are there some groundwater areas where the water is salty in Myanmar? Are there? Yeah. Could you tell me some of the names of the places? Maybe just one name. Was that?
မုံရကဲ
Moyuan.
မုံရ ချင်းနေပြီစင်
Moyuan. Okay. So in the Moyuan Basin, the groundwater is salty, let's say. Yeah. Maybe it's so salty you can't use it for irrigation. Is it so salty? You can't use it for irrigation? Okay. So an example of a flow to a sink, in this case, I'm choosing this basin for an example. If you apply irrigation water in this basin, the Moyuan Basin, and some of that water goes to deep percolation, and it enters into that groundwater that's salty. Once it goes in there, it's depleted. It has flown to a sink. So the sink is like the idea of a sink is when water goes in a sink, it sort of like disappears, you know, like a sink when you wash your hands. So the idea is that salty groundwater, once the water goes in there, it's kind of like depleted. Versus if the groundwater was fresh and then we could pump it up again and use it, that would not be a flow to a sink. So it's kind of the idea that when the water goes to this sink, it could be the ocean, it could be a saline aquifer, it's sort of not available anymore. So that's, I don't know, if maybe, does that help answer your question? Excellent, okay. So
အဲ့ဒါလည်းများထပ်ရှင်းပြဖို့နော်ပြရတယ်နော်အဲ့တော့ကိုဆရာကမေးတဲ့ဥစ္စာကဒီ non beneficial depletion ပြုံးပြီးသွားတယ်ပြုံးပြီးတာဘယ်လိုပြုံးပြီးရလဲအကျိုးကိုပြန်မရနိုင်ဘူးအကျိုးမရှိတဲ့ပြုံးပြီးဘယ်လိုပြုံးပြီးသွားလဲဆိုတော့ရေဒီ ဒီကြီးကိုစိတ်ဝင်သွားတယ်ဒီကြီးစိတ်ဝင်သွားမြောက်ရည်တွေကိုဝင်သွားတယ်ဝင်သွားတဲ့ဥစ္စာမှာတကယ်တော့မြောက်ရည်ကနေပြီးတော့တခြားဥစ္စာစီးထွက်သွားတယ်ရှိမယ်ဒါမှမဟုတ်လည်းကျွန်တော်ရေရင်းပြန်တူးပြီးတော့ပြန်သုံးလို့မရနိုင်ဘူးရနိုင်တယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ဥပမာသဘောတည်ဟိုခဏကြာရောက်ပြီးတော့မုံရွာလိုဒီကမျိုးပါမြောက်ရည်ကဟိုစားတဲ့အရင်ပြားတယ်ဒါမှမဟုတ်ရေစည်းဖြစ်နေဖြစ်သွားတော့အဲ့ဒါဖြစ်တဲ့ဥစ္စာမျိုးမှာသွားပြီးတော့ပြန်ပြီးတော့အဲ့ဒီစိတ်ဝင်သွားတဲ့ကြီးကပြန်ထုတ်သုံးလို့ရတယ်မရတော့လုံးအောင်တော့ဟိုတော့ဆုံးသွားတယ်ပေါ့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဥပမာမှာပြောလို့လက်ဆေးလိုက်တဲ့ရည်ကြီးထိုးလိုက်တဲ့ဖြစ်ပြီးတော့အောက်သေးကျသွားတဲ့ရည်ကြီးရတော့ပြည့်ဟိုရစ်ပတ်သွားပြီပေါ့နော်သိပြီပြန်သုံးလို့အစင်မပြေတော့တဲ့ဥစ္စာကြတယ်ဒါကတော့ပြောပါလေပြုံးတီးမှုဘယ်လိုပြုံးတီးမှုလဲအကျိုးမရှိတော့ပြုံးတော့မလို့ depletion ဘယ်လိုလဲ now beneficial depletion ဘယ်လိုသွားတာလဲ sink ထဲမှာရောက်သွား sink ဆိုတာဒီလောကကိုဆုံးဆုံးပြုတ်သွားလို့ပြန်မရဘူးနောက်တစ်ခုဥပမာပြောသဘောလေးပြောလို့ဒီတစ်ခုတရားပြင်လေတော့စီးပွားရေးရေးရတယ်ဒီတိုင်းအနေနဲ့ပြန်ထုတ်သုံးလို့ရတယ်လားစားရည်ဒီနော်ရပြီနော်ဟုတ်ကဲ့ဒါလည်းthat's it
Okay, excellent. Just looking up for
One additional question.
oh okay go
So all these factors contained in the water accounting diagram are spatially and temporally dependent.
So all the I got the
All these factors.
All the factors. Yes.
Spatially as well as temporally dependent.
Absolutely, yeah. And this is a wonderful question because one really important thing of water counting is we always look at the spatial. It's spatially explicit and temporally explicit. And what I mean by that is we don't lump things together. So we don't think of our domain as just one big. We want to understand within the different land uses. We'll get to this. Right now, we're thinking of it as kind of one lump thing. But at a certain moment, we're going to separate the land uses within a domain into these meaningful categories. And in that way, it's spatially explicit. And then temporally, we're going to look at monthly time steps. And in that way, it's kind of temporally explicit. So it's very important that, yes, we look at these spatial differences and temporal differences. Yeah.
ဆရာကမေးတဲ့အနေနဲ့အခုဒီမှာဒီ water account တွေမှာသုံးနေတဲ့ဒီမှာဒီ diagram မှာတော့ခဏပုံလေးကြားတယ်ဆိုတာဒီကဟိုဟာနဲ့ပဲနေရာနဲ့ပဲကြည့်တာလားအချိန်နဲ့ရောကြည့်တာလားအခုလုံးပေါ့နော်နေရာနဲ့ဘယ်လိုတာက space ကိုတော့လည်း entity နဲ့ spatial ဖြစ်တယ်အဲ့တော့အများနဲ့နောက်တကဒီမှာမဖြစ်မနေတော့ရမယ်ဒုအနေနဲ့ particle တွေအကုန်ပါအဲ့ဒါတွေအကုန်လုံးကိုလည်းတွက်တယ်လို့အချိန်နဲ့လည်းတွက်ရမယ်တွက်ပါမယ်ဒါပေမဲ့အခုဒီပထမဆုံးမှာပြထားခဲ့တဲ့အနေနဲ့ပုံအနေနဲ့ပြထားတဲ့အခါဒီနေရာနဲ့ဖြစ်နေမျက်စိတော့ပြန်တော့ဒီနေရာမှာပဲဒီဥစ္စာဒါပဲဒါလို့ရှိနေပြီးတော့နောက်ပြီးတော့နှမျိုးလုံးလုံးမှာကဒီနေရာအဝင်အထဲမှာတောင်းသားရဲ့အထွက်အဲ့ဒါတွေလည်းတွက်ပါဖြစ်တယ်လို့နောက်ကြရင်လားစဉ်လိုက်တဲ့ပုံမျိုးတွေလည်းယာဒီကုကုလိုက်မိုးရာဒီမှာတစ်မျိုးမေယာဒီမှာတစ်မျိုးဟောင်းရာဒီမှာတစ်မျိုးအဲ့လိုလည်းကြည့်ပါဖြစ်တယ်လို့လားစဉ်လိုက်မှာအသုံးရှိတာပဲဒီမှာစိုက်ပျိုးရေးရာဒီမှာအသုံးတစ်မျိုးရှိရှိတယ်ဘာမှစိုက်တဲ့ရာဒီမှာတစ်မျိုးရှိရှိတယ်အဲ့ဒီဥစ္စာတွေပုံလုံးနေတယ်တစ်ခုချင်းကိုအချိန်လိုက်ပေါ့နေရာလိုက်ပေါ့ပါပြန်ထွက်ပြီးတော့ပြန်တော့ရပါဒီမှာတော့ပြောတဲ့ဥစ္စာက basic အရင်ဆုံးဖြစ်တဲ့ကြောင့်ဒီလိုအင်းကြည့်လိုက်အချိန်မပါဘူးဖြစ်ရပြီလား
Thank you for those questions. Yeah. Okay, let's see who's the winner or who the winners are. Maybe someone from the back row. Okay. We have drum roll and let's see. Okay. So, who is HS? Oh,
Okay.
congratulations. Yes. Okay, great. So, and then BNO? Very good. Yes. And the 6B. Oh, yes. So the front row has lost its domination. Yes, welcome to the podium here. Yeah, congratulations. Okay, good. All right, Puspa, let's transition here to this one. So this is, yesterday we got a little bit off schedule, and there's a really important topic that Dr. Puspa is going to share about here, about water use efficiency and productivity. I don't have that pointer ready, but I'll get it ready. I have it. It's not gonna work yet. We have like the whiteboard marker, so we can just draw on this. Or use the permanent markers. We don't want to draw. They're all perfect. Yeah. Well, I think we need to get whiteboard markers. Yeah, I mean, it'd be better to be able to just erase it.
I think I can use this board, no?
Yeah, but we don't have a bunch
Yeah,
of
you must have this marker. Actually, the gentleman there, he has a very nice question, and I was about to start my session actually exactly from his question. When I was talking, when I was talking about what is efficiency, what is productivity, these things. So I would start exactly from these questions and then explain you all these terminologies. Okay? So I think I will be more focused on, I will be real teacher today. I will be using the board and the PowerPoint. And again, how many of you have heard this word, irrigation efficiency? Have you heard this word, irrigation efficiency? You have, you know irrigation efficiency. Any rest of the participants, you know about irrigation efficiency? Okay. I will first explain you what is irrigation efficiency. Okay. Do not write anything. Just it's a very simple thing. Okay. Just try to understand what happens in irrigation is you have a, say for example, there is a river. Okay? And here is your, I will take up here is your dam or barrage, and here is your canal. This is the river coming like this, and here is the canal. You understand this, right? Yes. You know this thing. Then this we call it a main canal, or sometimes in some countries they also call primary canal. In many countries we call main canal, branch canal, tertiary canal, minor, distributary, minors, many terms are here. But the thing is, you will have a main canal here, and then you have also maybe several branch canals here. Right? And then also, depending on how big your canal, right? In some cases, right from the main canals, you will have a field. But if the canal is big, you do not irrigate from the main canal. And then you may have another canal here coming. And then here you have a field. Right? I'm writing here. Okay. Water comes here. In some cases, we can also have, say, for example, small outlet here, some small field here, and maybe from here also directly. But usually, depending on the size of the canal, maybe big canals, they start irrigation after only 1, 2, 3 order. Okay? But if the canal sometimes, maybe, say for example, here is one small canal, very small canal, not a big like that one. Then you have maybe, one field here, one field here, like this also. Okay? Some canals are big, some are small. Right? Okay. Suppose, I am just giving you an example. I am taking, say, 1000 water here, 1000 liters per second. Just give you an example. Just take an example, or 1000 cubic feet. Okay? Now, this canal is sometimes earthen canal, sometimes concrete lining, right? There is always seepage from the canal. No, except plastic, even concrete, very little seepage. And you cannot line whole canal because it is very costly, right? So there is always seepage from the canal. Okay? So when you apply air 100, maybe, for example, forget, okay, even this gate is closed, maybe here is another branch canal going this direction and this direction. When water flows from here, there is some seepage, right? This is called main canal. Let me write MC. Okay? Then let us call this either, or you can call a primary canal. This is a secondary canal or branch canal, whatever you want to use the word. I would write just say this is a branch canal, BC. And I will say TC, tertiary canal or third order canal. When water flows like this moves first along the main canal, and then it flows here, it flows here. Before the actual amount of water that goes to your field, maybe now only 60. You understand what I am saying? Because when, 600, not 60, 600, say. Why? Because maybe out of 100 here in this main canal, 100 is lost. It goes to the ground and it also, little evaporation, not much, but largely it goes to the either seepage loss. So there is a loss in this canal, there is a loss in this canal, then this canal, this canal, this canal, this canal, look. Maybe out of 1000, usually if your canal is not line canal, I do just other canal, then out of 1000 you get it from the river. Maybe the actual say is about only 600 or 700. Then we use one terminology. Means also you can also think maybe out of your 400 is lost now. Okay, this is lost. Out of 400, maybe about 200 is lost in the main canal. It depends actually. If the main canal is fully lined, maybe, and then maybe this in the branch canal, in these tertiary canals, maybe another 200. Out of this 400 also, maybe 200 in the main canal only, and 200 in the this small canal. Water is lost. Okay? So, am I clear so far? I am diverting 1000, but you know there is a loss in the main canal, 200, there is a loss in the small canals, 200. So actually I am giving farmers only 600 watt. Okay, 400 I lost. And out of the now I am in the say in the farm field, in this field. Even in the field when I apply water, there is a percolation in the ground. You understand? Percolation in the ground. And also there may be some other losses also. So maybe the actual amount of water that a plant consumes is basically evapotranspiration. Transpiration is the combination, but you cannot avoid, except the evaporation part, the other part is the loss. So you imagine again out of the 600, maybe 200 is all again lost. Another 200. The actual amount of water is used basically only 400. No? I started with 1000 here. I lost 200 in the main canal. I lost 200 in these all small canals. And when I apply water to these small farm fields, then I lost another 200. So actually I started with 1000, right? But now when I actually arrive at the farmer's field, I have only 400. So if I look at how efficient I am, my efficiency, it means 400 by 1000 into 100 is 40%. You got it? That is my overall efficiency. Why I call it overall? Because the water is lost in the main canal, water is lost in the branch canals, water is lost in the farm, and also small evaporation. Forget about that. That is from the canal I am talking about. So my overall efficiency, we call this one as a overall irrigation efficiency. Okay? Clear? Okay. You know this area, right? Because I have only now 400 remaining. 400 by 1000 is my total. What percentage? 400 by 100. But there is also another term. There are water is lost at how many places? See, 3 places, right? One is the main canal. In this main canal, which is big canal. And another is this small branch canals. And another is at the farm. Now, if someone asks you, what is the conveyance efficiency of the main canal one? Only main canal. What is conveyance efficiency of the main canal one? That means only this canal. Okay, forget about it. In this canal, you use 100, right? And you lost only 200 in this. Right? So your main canal conveyance efficiency is 800 by main canal efficiency is okay? But someone asks you, no, can you tell me what is the canal conveyance efficiency? for both main canal and branch canal. That would be am I clear? Because if you look this canal and this canal also, then you lost 400 watt, right? So if someone asks you what is your canal conveyance efficiency, then you have to deduct this 400. But if someone asks you what is the efficiency of the main canal one, it's 80%. What is the efficiency of the canals one? It is 60%. What is the efficiency of the whole system? It is 40%. These all are, I am talking about irrigation efficiency. Remember, irrigation efficiency. Okay? Am I clear? So I talked about three kinds of efficiency. One is overall efficiency. One is main canal conveyance efficiency, and another is canal conveyance efficiency. Okay? But for me, important is, in the past, am I clear now? These things, it's simple, no? Okay. Now, what happens is, but I'm talking about one canal now. Okay? Let me also now talk about another thing. So, can I have this? Otherwise, any tissue paper would do. Any tissue paper would do. Anyway, so now, I'm coming to, no. I think we use the wrong. It's not a real market, it's a paper market. Oh my God.
It's a good picture. It'll be there forever.
It will take time. Anyway. Now, okay, then can I have one the seat? Then I will use the seat. White seat. It's very easy to explain with the diagrams. This is clear to you. I will now make things more complex. Now in the world, usually this canal overall efficiency, if you have a 40, 45, 50 is a very good efficiency. If you say our irrigation systems overall efficiency is 50%, oh my God, we are very good. Yes? And usually it is 30%, 36%, because loss of water is lost basically. And how you can increase this one? Suppose if you line the canal, right, then the loss would be less. Then your efficiency would increase. Right? Even in the farm, this is what they do, whether you do it in Myanmar or not. If your land is very flat, then the population is less actually. The loss is less. Right? So these days in Pakistan, India, Afghanistan, they use the laser land leveling. Are you using this in Myanmar? Like a tractor would level the land using laser. So it is very flat. So then water loss will be less. I don't know whether you use it in Myanmar, but laser land leveling. But maybe you have already very flat land also. But still, the land that you see very flat in your net eye may be undulated also. So there are ways to increase this irrigation efficiency. And also sometimes you can line the canal, right, with concrete, plastic sheets, and then so these are about, last 30-40 years, we always talk about how we can improve irrigation efficiency. Because improving irrigation efficiency is that you save water, right? So until 1990, we always, if you read any paper before 1990, yes, that would be good. We all talked about irrigation efficiency. Okay? And I forgot to tell you one thing. In the farm field, before water arrives to the farm field, 400 is already lost, right? We have only 600, right? And then when you apply 600, 200 again goes down. We have only 400. And there is also one word called farm application efficiency. I forgot it. That is how much you apply 600. Because 400 is already lost. You apply 600 to the field. But also 200 is lost. That means your farm efficiency. Farm water application efficiency is how much? 400 by 600. Because at the farm, you already lose the 400, right? So you only are applying 4, and then also 200 is lost in the ground. But you apply 600, 200 is lost, so it's about, say, 67%, right? 67%. So these are different kind of efficiency people talk about. So if you look at before 1990, we always talk about what is the water application efficiency in the farm, what is the conveyance efficiency, and if the conveyance efficiency is low, okay, and then your boss will tell, okay, line the canal. So these are the terms used. But now let me tell you another thing. Yes, no, I will put it there so that what is it? Okay. I will take the same example here. You had a river. Say, this is irrigation system 1, I will call it. Okay? But here I can use another mark. This one I can use it here. So, okay, this is your river, and this was your irrigation system 1. Okay? And now I also showed you there was one small irrigation system. Okay? And then this one is 1, this one is 2. And this one is 1, this one is 2. Maybe make it 4. This one 4th irrigation. Because in a river, you can have another big irrigation system here also. Right? This is a river. There is one irrigation system, here is another irrigation system, here is one big dam here, maybe here, maybe slightly small dam, then maybe here only very small dam, small irrigation system, maybe here is another one, Maybe very big one here, even bigger than this one. It happens in a river, right? Is it clear to you? Okay. So now, in this irrigation system, what happened actually? You take 1,000, right? And then 600 is already lost, right? Isn't it? 200 in the main canal, another 200 in the branch canal, and 200 in the when you apply in the field. Then you use only 400. Right? Now my question is, suppose now I am giving you one example. Maybe this river has say 1,000 water, 10,000, sorry. Just number, just to understand. This one took 1,000, maybe this 1,000, this one took only 500, and this one took 2,000 maybe. Okay? And this one maybe say another 1,000. And now the rest will be flowing here. Now what happens? Now I told you from this in this system you draw 100, but actual use was only 4. So maybe in this system your actual use may be only 800. It's just an example. And this one maybe say assume, let us assume, okay, maybe you use yes only 200, maybe loss, big loss. Only you were able to use only 200, and out of 1,000 also assume 4. Okay. Now my question is again, out of the 600, where did that water go? It goes to the underground. Isn't it? Not only underground. Sometimes what happens is, it is irrigated, it goes from one field to another, and again comes back to the river. Isn't it? We don't see it, but that happens. It goes to the drainage, and maybe somewhere here, here some from this irrigation, some water is coming back to this river. Isn't it? Okay? Also, one, it directly comes. You irrigate the field from one field to another, then there is a drainage channel again, 10 kilometers down, the water is back to the river. Isn't it? And there is also some water, it goes to the underground. And underground also supplies to the river. Isn't it? Where does it go? If your water table is higher than the river, bed level, it again supplies to the river. It depends. You have to look at the dynamics. But so what happens is, this lost water, we call it, basically again comes back. From this irrigation also, this will come back to the river. Isn't it? The similar from here also. So maybe when you say out of 600, maybe 200 is coming back to the river again. Water accounting will tell you actually how much is coming back, right? Or your other hydrological modeling. But, and also, part of it goes to maybe out of 600 lost, 200 may be coming back to the river. And 200 may be in the groundwater. And 200 may be lost, Now what happens is, out of the 200 gone to the groundwater, if your groundwater is a very bad kind of groundwater, very high salty groundwater, that is lost. That was his question, basically. You cannot use that one. But it is not always the case. In many cases, what happens? I am a farmer here, I lose 600 water, 200 is gone to the ground, and I am maybe farmer somewhere there, I will pump the same water. So, the water you lost from an irrigation system, not everything is lost. Part of it again comes back to the river, and this farmer is using it. Again, this will go it, and another downstream farmer, the same water is used. There is a one river called South Fire River in China. You have heard of this? This river is in Bangkok. You know South Fire River? Sophia. Yeah, Sophia River, yes, in Bangkok, big river. I live at the side of the river. I always see river in Pakistan. My house in Bangkok is just at the side of that. We did one analysis. In Sophia River, the same water uses 20 times. It is lost from here, comes back to the river, another canal uses it, again this is the loss here, comes here, again another farmer uses it. So, what happens is, say, when we say actually, if you just parade this, links, if you just look at the, one irrigation system, your loss is very high, looks very high. Then your irrigation, overall irrigation efficiency is low. But if you look river as a whole, what may be happening is you had a 10,000, right? And by the time actually you had arrived here, maybe your actual usage may be 80%. Isn't it? This is happening every time. So that is what we call is actually if you look at from the river perspective, maybe when you arrive, maybe this river may be long, there's one canal, and there may be some farmers using groundwater pumping. What water this farmer is pumping is basically lost from this canal. So if I am a farmer here, say if I am a farmer here in this canal, I am losing water. But you are a farmer here with one tube well. I am losing water here, you are pumping there. So for me it is a loss. For you it is a gain. Okay, I am assuming it's not a salty water. So the loss of one person is a gain for another person. So though for this farmer actually are losing water, but this water is used by, again comes back to the river, again used by this farmer. Sometimes what happens is the loss of this canal comes from this canal also. This canal is losing, this canal is gaining. So if you look just from one irrigation system, it may be lost. If you look from a whole river, there may not be that big loss. This concept started after 1991. You might have seen this paper by yesterday also just mentioned by David Molden. These people, there was if you have heard about this organized International Water Management Institute. Do you know IWMI? Do you know this institute? It is based in Colombo, Sri Lanka. Its Director General, he in the late 90s, I forgot his name, he started this concept. So he said the dry loss and wet loss. That means dry loss is the loss that you cannot use again. Okay? But wet loss is that loss you can use it again. It's not a loss basically. Only this is lost, this cannot. But if you look from the, that is why we talked about yesterday. We have to do integrated water resource management, river basin management. Why? This is the reason. Because there is things are interconnected. What is the groundwater? Groundwater is nothing but the recharge from your rivers, recharge from your canals, and also the basin. That is the groundwater. So sometimes I say, oh, my irrigation efficiency is very low. Okay, this canal may be, but the water is not lost. My neighbors are using it downstream. I will tell you two instances, two cases. You know, one in Afghanistan, one in India. First, from India, Himachal Pradesh in northern India, they sent me one project, about $6 million project. They wanted to line the canal, and I did not approve it. I asked them many questions, and finally it was funded by the Japanese government, and that was cancelled. But of course, they used the money for some other project, the same project but different kind, but not for canal line. Same thing happened in Afghanistan. It was $7 million. They sent me the project. Then I reviewed the project. I did not approve it. The reason was same like this. First, I will tell you in India, Himachal Pradesh. This was the river. Anyway, you know, in India, what was happening was, this was not a very big river. This was like this. This was a river. And there were one canal, two canal, 3, 4, 5. There are about, the river was I think some 16 kilometers long. From here to here. And there was another big river. This river belongs to big river. And there were about 12 canals. Like this. And they were working only in these 3 canals. These 3 canals, they were working. And they said the irrigation efficiency is low. They wanted to line this canal and they wanted to increase the area here. Am I clear? That was the proposal. Then I said, these 3 canals, they said there is a lot of loss from this canal. So we want to line the canal and then we save water and we use it for the more areas. And then my question was, are these water really lost? You give me proper water account, proper water balance, whether the water is lost or not. So I sent the file back. And then I went to the field. The Japanese were, in most cases it was funded by JICA. The Japanese were with me. And then in this, it is 16 kilometers. Then we walked along the river. And then this river are slopey, you know. You can clearly see, yes, there was a lot of loss from this canal. But this loss was coming to this canal. And the loss of this one was coming to this canal. And loss of this was going to this canal. Loss of this was going to the river bank. Similar loss, this was coming, and then and if you look from here to here, basically there was very less loss. And what happened? Suppose if you lined these 3 canals, you increase area, I agree. But then these canals will not have enough water for irrigation. So what you get in total? You understand my point? Suppose if you lined these 3 canals, you increase area here, but you decrease area there, because when you line this canal, then there will be much more water to the downstream canal. So what you get in total? You get nothing. You take this water and you gave it to, actually what you two are using water, now you are taking his water and you are giving to her. What is the advantage? Basically only 2 people can get water. When you give water to her, you will not have water. So why should you spend $6 million? You understand what I am trying to explain? Does it make a sense? This is why you have to do water accounting. Then you will see, oh my God, there is no loss. Why should I line? Why should I spend? But don't take it. Oh, tomorrow don't go to your office. No, we should not now line the canal. No. I am not saying that one. You have to line the canal. But you have to do this analysis properly and really look at whether the loss I am talking is really a loss. Okay? So, in the before 1990s, we were very concerned with only 1 canal, 2 canal irrigation efficiency. But these days, we have to look from the basin perspective, because the water, we say water is lost, is not really lost. It is coming back to the river, it is coming back to another canal, it is going to the groundwater. So what happens is, I gave you one example where my irrigation efficiency was 40%. Maybe in the same river, what is happening is, out of 10,000 that river has, maybe when you come down, maybe 80,000 is used, actual use, because the same water is admitted. So your efficiency here is, say, 80%, right? Yes, then 80%. So, right? Now also, if you yesterday also Jeff mentioned about one. We talked, Jeff mentioned this, I mentioned open basin and closed basin. When your efficiency is already approaching the maximum, then it's almost full. There is no more water to use. Right? So, modern day water management, you should not talk much about irrigation efficiency. You should look at the river basin efficiency, okay? Water use efficiency in the basin. You know now why the reason is. Because there is a circulation of recirculation of water. The water you think is lost is not the lost, being used. Okay. You are irrigating your land, you are percolating the water, and farmers there, I am pumping the water. You are losing the water, but I am taking that water. In total, it's not a loss. So if you look from the river basin perspective, then your efficiencies are very high. Okay, so that is why you have to make a judgment. Shall I line my canal? Shall I do the pumping? In one area in France, southern France, I visited that system. I forgot the name of the system. The French government, the system was like this. The upstream part of the canal was for general agriculture, wheat cultivation. Okay? How the system was in France, I'll give you an example. This was the canal, and then this was the river, this area was for wheat. And here, farmers were cultivating grapes. You know, France is very popular in wine. They have a lot of grapes, right? French are the best in wine. So, and this portion was grapes. So the government, what they did, they wanted to modernize this canal, and then they think there is a lot of, because these were the urban canals, normal canals. So they wanted to modernize the system using maybe $200, $300 million. And they were about to start the project. And then someone told, no, let us pass to the water account. They did the water account. What they found was, there was a lot of loss, seepage loss from this system. Okay? But this lost water was pumped by the black farmers through the tube. So why should you do anything? Yes, there was a big loss here, but the lost water was used by the black farmer. They were pumping the farmer and irrigating the grass. There were no canals in this area. They were just pumping the water. But that water was coming from the loss from here. So why should you spend $200 million? Nobody would spend 200, and they cancelled the project because it was balancing well. So these are the analyses actually you have to look at the basin issue. The case I mentioned about Afghanistan was of the same example. They wanted to line this canal. I said, okay, are you sure you want to save the water? And we checked, no. The lost water is basically used by the downstream canal. So if you look from the basin perspective, what should I do? So whether you have to do the pumping, this. That's why usually domain in water accounting, we talk about domain, right? Time and space domain. Usually domain in water accounting, we always check one sub-basin, one complete hydrological bound. And this analysis helps you, right? And if you make a water balance not from the canal basin purpose only, if you just do the analyzing one canal, then you will see, oh my God, 60% of my water is lost, gone. But if you do the proper accounting in the basin level, oh my God, 80% of my water is being used. So, what is water use efficiency? Water used in the system, total water use, actual water system divided by the area. These are that's what we call this as a water use efficiency. Am I clear or not? Does it make a sense what I am telling? So just think from a basin perspective. That's why you have to look from basin perspective. You have to analyze from the basin perspective. That is the whole idea. Now I will tell you two more terms. Is productivity. These are also very important things. I will try to explain you in a very simple term. So do you have any questions on this? What is irrigation efficiency or what is water use efficiency? Do you have any questions in that part? Is it clear what I am trying to say? Okay. Now, always, just take one example by pencil. Use 100 figures and then try to understand yourself. These are very simple things. Now, in the modern water management, we also use the word water productivity. Have you heard this word, water productivity? How many of you have heard this word, water productivity? Have you heard this word? Anybody? Okay, forget about water productivity. Now, can you tell me very roughly how much? Rice. I will take example of rice. How many tons of rice? Average. Don't say, on a very roughly average, because I know it's different in Yangon and it is different in Nepal. Different figure. But roughly, in 1 hectare, I don't know, you use hectare or acre?
Acre.
In 1 acre, how many kilo rice you get? Maybe say in summertime, very roughly. So if I say, let me, like 3,000 kilo per hectare, does it come like that? Or 4,000 kilo per hectare? Anyway, can you tell me how much it would come in 1 acre?
It's 80 to 100 pounds. baskets. Right?
Yeah, they think yeah, 80
I think
to
it's about
Yeah.
4,000 pounds per acre. So 3 to 4.
Okay.
Okay.
Say,
200
I will
kilo.
assume, okay. Now I will be assuming say 4,000 kilo or 4 ton in 1 hectare. You know hectare and acre relation? Yes, you are very good in mathematics. So okay. Anyways. So okay, I am assuming you have a 4 ton, ton is 4,000 kilo in 1 hectare. So that is your land productivity. Okay? So if someone asks what is your productivity of rice, you will reply it is 4,000 kilo in 1 hectare. That is called land productivity. Means how much your land can give you. Okay? That is called land productivity. Am I clear? What is land productivity? What is my clear? Land productivity. Okay. All your agriculture ministry main aim is to increase land productivity. Isn't it? Why you all are working in agriculture ministry? Because you want to increase your production. That is your objective, right? Maybe some 20 years back it was only 3,000 kilo per hectare. Now 4,000 kg per hectare. In California, where Jeff comes from, he has 9,000 kilo per hectare. You also want to have 9,000 kilo per hectare. In South Korea, I visited one, but that was experimental basis. 12,000 kg per hectare. So I'm talking about rice. Same maybe wheat or other crops. So why there is agriculture ministry in our country? Because the only purpose of the agriculture ministry is how to increase the productivity. Now. That is what agriculture ministry does. So how you can increase productivity? Maybe you need to apply water, you need to apply fertilizer, new variety, hybrid seed, or genetically modified. I don't know. Many things. So this is called land productivity. Okay? So in the past, we wanted to increase land productivity. Okay? But now, water is also scarce. Okay? We also want to improve the water productivity now. That means getting more food with the same water. Suppose I give you an example. You said your in rice, your production is 4,000 kg, right? Per hectare. Okay? If 1 hectare you are using, say I'm just giving one example. If you are using, say, 5,000 liter of water, in 1 hectare, that means you are getting 4,000 kg from 5,000 meter cube water. It's 0.8 kg per meter cube of water. Isn't it? You got my point? So, then it's a bit complicated. Land productivity very easy. At the time of harvest, you cut it and then you measure it, you know how much it is. But water productivity is a bit tricky, no? You have to know how much water you have used in that area. Is it? Am I clear to you or not? So, now you can increase, but our aim is also now to increase water productivity now. don't say that, okay, in Myanmar or rice has a 0.8 kg per meter cube, whatever. I'm just giving you an example. There are figures for water. So, if our aim is also we want to increase this figure, like in 1 hectare land we want to increase the production to 5 ton, 6 ton, or like the Koreans maybe 12 ton. Similarly, we want also maybe we want to get maybe 4,000 this water maybe with only 4,000. If I use only 4,000 then it will be 1 kg per unit of water. So the idea is we have to also think how we can improve water productivity. Because water is not free. In Myanmar, in some cases, maybe free. It's not free, but you have more water. But in many countries in the world, simply there is no water. So we have to increase water productivity. There are many ways water productivity can be increased. Like you improve variety of seed. You get this better production with the same water. That is also increasing water productivity. So our focus is also now how we can increase the water productivity. Means if you increase the water use efficiency, you increase water productivity basically. No? So these are the some. Now you can read in literatures. These are the numbers and figures. I try to make you understand what is land productivity, what is water productivity. There are also many aspects of water productivity. I don't want to go into detail at this stage, but just try to understand how much how much production I get out of how much water I use. But there is also loss to water and other factors that I think I will stop at this stage. Just think of that one. How much I get out of how much water is water productivity. How much I get out of my land is land productivity. Very simple. And efficiency, if you look from the whole basin perspective, you are using water use efficiency. If you just focus on one irrigation canal, you are talking about irrigation efficiency. So am I clear on these things? Just try to put in here. So okay. Now let me quickly go to my slides.
Yes, sir.
Then I think look, this word, now let you listen carefully, okay? Water use efficiency. I explained it is a dimensionless ratio of total amount of water used to the total amount of water applied. Like I gave you in the basic example, how much water. Then water productivity. I just explained it. Refers to the crop process in relation to total water depleted. Okay, total water use, okay. This depleted is a bit more new word, so you may be. Now, I told you about this, right? Conveyance efficiency. It is only in the loss in the canal you take into account, right? I explained to you. And I also told you that conveyance efficiency can be further divided into main system level, secondary level, or at distribution network level, right? You can look at it differently. But usually you can say, okay, my whole conveyance efficiency or main canal conveyance efficiency. Just always keep this example in your head, then it will be clear. Okay? Then farm level efficiency, I explained you, it's basically at the farm. The farm level. and overall irrigation efficiency. I explained you, like in my example, it was 40%, right? Yes, and I told you, if you just I explained you, one means loss may return to river or to groundwater or to another canal system. It's not really a loss. Concept of efficiency has been questioned since 1980s. This reason, I think I should have written concept of irrigation efficiency. If you just say, okay, I want to improve my irrigation efficiency, don't do that. You may have to improve irrigation efficiency, but first do the whole analysis. Right? Sometimes there is no advantage of increasing irrigation efficiency because your basin efficiency is already high. Right? So, and then then new concept of basin efficiency. Open closed river basins has emerged since 1990. We explained you actually. When your basin is approaching, almost water is used, there is no more effect. It's rather almost closed basin, and then while there is water still to be available to be used, that is called open basin. This will again come in the water balance sheet actually. When you do the water balance, if you see still there is a further available water to use, go to the open basin. Alright. Then also, I also mentioned the water is seen as a dry loss or wet loss. If the lost water, you can use it, it is wet loss. If the loss that you cannot use it, then it is a dry loss. Water accounting analysis, therefore remain. That's why you have to do water accounting to understand all these things. What kind of project I do? Shall I dig a tube well here or not? So if you do the proper analysis, oh yes, I can exploit some groundwater. Let us do that. Yes. I already told you about water productivity. Simple. Basically, how much water you use and how much you produce and divided by 2. But the difficulty to measure it is you have to have a system to measure how much water you have. And there are also, water productivity also different ways to look at. One way is also to look at how much water you have applied. Another is also to look at how much water actually the plant has. But just try to understand at this stage that it is the ratio of the water used and production you get and water used. These are just in terms of the formula, actually. These differences. So with this one, I will like to pose, just remember 4 things. One is irrigation efficiency versus overall water efficiency and different kinds of losses. And think always, losses is not always loss. Yes, the water that runs groundwater is lost only if it is a salinity, otherwise it is not a loss. The loss is a bit. And try to remember what is open basin, what is closed basin. Always think basin level efficiency is always high. Though your irrigation efficiency is low, basin efficiency is always high. You have to do the analysis. And then another thing you just try to remember is basin productivity. You have two productivity, one is land productivity, which you already follow. Even our even farmers knows land productivity, how much I grow. But farmers doesn't know what to do. Right? You will be happy to use as much water as water productivity in terms of water. Just try to understand the process. Something you will further come up with. Thank you very much. And then, we have time always, we can discuss well, because, these are things which will be repeatedly coming. So I'm happy to explain it at later stage also, and also while is Jeff presenting something also, we can always discuss this. Thank you.
We're going to take a break. Yeah? How long should we take a break for? I think, we stay scheduled. We have 10 minutes, but let's not stay scheduled.